Hello and
So
welcome
when I
to.
was watching Puppet Master, Nathan, I don't know about you, but the themes for that movie, they're really something.
Wait, hold on. We didn't introduce ourselves.
Oh,
Oh,
darn.
yeah, and then we can get into. I know you're really excited to get
Okay,
into it. Okay, all
okay.
right, all right, all right. Hello and welcome to Drive and Double Feature Podcast. I'm Nathan,
I'm Brian.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before we get into this week's episode, be sure to head over to our Patreon over at patreon.com/drive in double feature. Man, it's a tongue twister. I'm just really excited to talk about Puppet Master today. We gotta rush through this. Okay, so that's it. Head over to Patreon, $5 a month. You help support us and help support our Puppet Master addiction. And if you can't tell, it's a Puppet Master Day. This Tuesday we are talking about Puppet Master. How many times can I say that in one sitting? Puppet Master, Puppet Master. From 1989. Puppet Master was directed by David Schmoeller, who he's directed a few other things. Tourist Trap being one of them. That's kind of like a cult horror movie going around. Bunch of B movies. This is, of
B
course,
movies.
no, not the B movie, not the Seinfeld B movie, which we will have to cover one of these days, during DreamWorks month. But yeah, no, this one is a Charles Band movie who we talked about before, directed Trancers. This is his first movie under the Full Moon Features brand, which is still alive today. They have all of these weird, like Puppet Master, demonic toys, Trancers, obviously, a bunch of these weird series that they just add to over and over. And this is kind of where it all started with this one. This was meant to be a theatrical movie, but it did get moved to VHS. Charles Band says it would make more money on VHS. I could see it. I don't know. There's no reviews. Not many people would just get it at the rental store. I told Ryan before this, I'm sure you know, like there's 15 of these movies. 13 mainline Puppet Masters. Then there's like a multiple spin-offs. There's Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys. The main puppet, which we'll talk about, Blade, got his own spin-off solo movie. And for whatever reason, the latest Puppet Masters are prequels and they're Nazi puppets. So just
Oh, perfect.
yeah, just what everybody wanted. So
I,
this
I,
universe is so weird.
why doesn't the Leech Woman puppet get her own movie?
I okay, well, we can talk about that now since you brought her up. But there is a puppet who's like her mouth stretches open and leeches come out of it. That's probably the best puppet of the bunch. Like as far as like gross out scary, because it's just really nasty. This
Yeah, it's
lady
pretty
that,
gross.
yeah, she just vomits leeches onto people. And it looks gross too because her face is like latex and it like it looks like she's like puking. Like
Yeah.
it's gross. Oh yeah, and this is a Paramount movie, by the way, just to let you know, which is another little surprising addition.
Why isn't it on Paramount Plus then?
Because Full Moon and Paramount are not partners anymore. I guess they were partners at the beginning. I
Oh,
don't know.
well, thank God for Peacock, as it's on Peacock.
Is it on Peacock?
Yeah.
Wow, that's funny. No, yeah, no, I don't want my Horizon or my Yellowstone mixing in with my Puppet Master. That's for my two
Yeah.
separate things. Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Let's keep the Tulsa King, and this separate.
Yes, please. Yeah, but I totally agree. But yeah, getting into Puppet Master, um, this one, God, it it's a little it's a little slow, and I mean like, and it gets off like that really like this intro in any other movie would be like 5 minutes tops. And I'm pretty sure they stretch this out to 10, 15 minutes, or at least that's what it feels like. So in the
Hmm.
in the intro, there's this old guy who's working on his puppets. And then there's like this Chinese puppet that's looking out the window, which is a real puppet. Like that was actually a bot puppet. I guess one of the only ones in the movie. They actually got that one from somebody. And there's people hunting down this old man. And then there's this Blade. We get to see his point of view as he runs around the hotel. Um, and it's so slow. It is so slow. It's like 10 minutes of like, it takes them so long to get from the ground floor of the hotel, take this elevator up to this old man's room. The puppet's running around. He makes it up there in time before these guys. It was so, I was already like, oh, this is padding. This is padding the movie. We are stretching this out as far as we can.
And might as well call this Paddington
Yeah, exactly.
because
Because that's what
there's
padding. Yeah,
so much padding. It's a ton.
yeah, exactly. Paddington. Yeah. No, and no, I mean it is because it's so, oh my God. Because like the puppets are hanging out. The old man takes the little puppets, he puts them in the thing, hides them in the
I,
wall.
I like the one like you said, like the one in the beginning, because he just like turns his head and like looks at him, and he's just like, no, no, no.
They're not here yet. Yeah, I kind of like that one. It doesn't return. And I kind of like the puppet design, even though it doesn't really do anything. The one he's building where his face swivels and changes his emotion.
Oh, you're a big Jester fan?
Is that his name, Jester?
Yeah.
Okay, you've already learned their names. I didn't know you were that big of a fan.
Oh yeah, you got Tunneler, you got Pinhead, you got the Leech
Yes.
Woman, Blade,
Wow.
big Jester, big
Yeah.
fan.
Well, that's the original lineup. We'll see how the lineup changes as I pick these.
Mm. I think the series really fell off when they lost Tunneler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. Tunneler was one of the OGs, as they say. Um, but yeah, no, he hides the puppets in the wall, and he has enough time to shoot himself. And one of the like, pretty horrifying to watch him sticking a gun, and the brains go everywhere, and then they get in there.
Yeah, what would have happened if those Nazis would have gotten their hands on those puppets?
I don't know. Maybe we'll find out like 20, 30 years later in a prequel.
That, we are watching all these. Okay.
Huh? Yeah, of course. Yeah. We gotta. No, I don't know. Maybe if I'm desperate and I need to
You'll
need
be
something.
when we do our usual routine of like, what movie should we pick? Puppet Master 2.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I like the poster. Don't even, did we cover Puppet Master 1? I'll ask that. Uh um
What did you think of the poster for this movie?
yeah, it's all right. It's kind of iconic, right? Like, you know what? You already asked, Ryan. You're gonna get it. It's like the case with all the puppets in it. It says Puppet Master. You know what? It's a good poster. It is. I think the poster's better than the movie. That's a poster that sells a VHS tape.
Yeah, if I were to review the movie, if the movie had a spine, a movie with the spine, I would describe the cover art, that sort of thing. But we're not gonna really
Save
get
that for this one.
we're not gonna get lost in the weeds.
Yeah, no, no, no. Even though I would love to actually see a review of the spine of movies. Nothing else, just the spine.
Yeah, I'll just like what it looks like in your video library at home, like when they had it like on VHS. Like,
Yeah.
does this fit in my video
Yeah.
library?
The Puppet Master, it's going to be between my copies of, I'm trying to think of old P movies.
P movies.
No, 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 no. We don't talk about my P movies. My P VHS tapes. But moving on.
Oh wow.
My first note that I have written down, because I did take notes this time. I wish I went into a little more detail, but I just put cheesy ass music. And I think I remember the music being pretty bad throughout all of this. It is like
Hey,
low budget.
well, that's how it is with all these full moon movies, though. Like their
Yeah,
music budget is just so awful. Like
it is. Yeah.
it's just the cheapest. Like imagine like you watch like a straight to video movie. That's how all
Hmm.
their scores sound like because it's just like the like there's like no scary music at all. It's like real whimsical type of music.
Yeah, and well, and I want to say, I think there's a little something behind that. Do you know the name of the composer for this? Did you happen to notice it as it went by?
I did not.
Richard Band, brother of Charles Band. So I think Charles here is like, my brother does the music. Okay, like he's gonna do the music, and he's just like pats him on the back, tells him it's good. Too afraid to tell him to do any better.
Don't you dare tell me I can't put my brother as the composer. It's like, but he doesn't know music. It's my movie.
It's
I can do what I want.
I think he slams the keyboard really nicely, okay? Um but yeah, no. So that happens, and then we skip ahead, and we have an Egyptian professor who's sitting at his desk, and blood pops out of his shirt. And as we learn, he's a psychic, and he's a part of a group of psychics that are looking for these puppets because they're tied to an Egyptian prophecy. Not an Egyptian prophecy, just like an Egyptian magic thing where you can control puppets or control inanimate objects, but these are puppets that are controlled through that. So they are on the hunt for these puppets because all that stuff from the hotel happened in the 40s. We have the professor, who is extremely boring, one of the most boring leading men you could have,
I,
has no
uh,
personality.
he is especially really bad. I mean, even just taking out his personality, like the actor in this does such a
So
bad job.
bad.
Like he's
Yeah.
really bad in this movie. Like,
He's terrible. Like the delivery and everything. Yeah, there's not a lot of good acting, but there is one person in the psychic group that I think she's not great or anything. She's kind of funny though, and that's the fortune teller lady. Because
yeah, I liked her.
she gets to have an accent, and she has like a stuffed dog she carries around with her named Leroy. That was probably some of the most charming
Leroy, you
stuff.
mean?
Sorry, Leroy, my bad. Like in Bad Seed, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, yeah. But no, yeah, that she's pretty fun. Except I didn't really understand her powers. So she's a fortune teller. She can like she believes in voodoo and fortune telling, but is she faking it? Because she's doing fortune readings at the amusement park, and she is getting her readings completely wrong. She's doing the thing like, your grandfather's gonna die soon, and the lady's like, my grandfather's still alive, and she's like, oh no, your grandpa's gonna die
yeah.
soon.
It's like, oh, I could see you in a job in retail. It's like, no, he would never do that. And it's like, oh, I mean, constructing a retail building.
But of course, these two are like, oh wow, that's awesome.
I liked her, but she does have the ability to do that because there is a scene where she's like when they first enter the mansion, like
Hmm.
she runs into I guess it's the housekeeper or whatever,
Hmm.
and she starts doing like this seance, like I'm warding off. She said, make sure you stay away from fireplaces. And she's like, whatever. And then that's how the housekeeper ends up dying.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess you're right. So I'm not sure what the deal is there. Maybe
Or
it's
she
just
just got really lucky. I don't know. But
well, because she doesn't die, she pops back up in the end. The housekeeper, doesn't she? She shows up in the end.
does she?
I thought so. I thought she popped back up. She was like working with the guy.
I
Maybe I'm
uh
wrong. Maybe it's a different character, but the housekeeper has a weird accent that was like easy to remember. She reminded me a little of Lisa Simpson.
yeah, she did. I
Yeah.
know, but I'm trying to like, did she come back?
Hold on. We're going to the plot synopsis on Wikipedia.
Because I thought she got killed by Pinhead.
Let's see. She got attacked by Pinhead with a poker and then fulfilling Dana's fortune. Um,
No, Nathan, that was Chopping Mall. She came when the guy came back at the end of the movie.
maybe I could have sworn, and I'm gonna keep this in because I gotta know if there's any puppet master heads. I could have sworn she showed up at the end. But I'm not seeing it in the synopsis here. Um,
Leave your comments down below and tell us
tell me how wrong.
tell me how wrong I am, or tell me how wrong Nathan is.
We gotta know. I guess it could be fixed by just rewatching the movie, but who's got time for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, did you watch this movie more than once?
Maybe.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, I gotta ask you, what made you do that?
I didn't remember enough of it.
Okay, so I trust you more now that you've seen it twice. That's crazy. That now, okay, did you like it enough to watch it again? Like, was it like a good rewatch or
No.
okay? Yeah. Okay.
I
Because I
mean,
was wondering if we were gonna have a conflicting opinion.
no. I mean, I watched it. Well, one, I'll say this, it's an easy watch. It's not,
It's 90 minutes.
it's under 90 minutes, and
Yeah.
unbearably boring. It's not like that. So I do want to say that. However, there is so much padding to this movie,
Yes, yeah.
and it's to the point where you're just like, oh my god, when are these puppets going to show up already? I mean, I think it's like, I want to say like an hour into the movie before they start killing people.
Yes, yeah, it takes so long for these puppets to pack up because that's the coolest part is seeing the puppetry. And I imagine because it's full moon, the budget's super cheap, so they couldn't use as much because there's claymation involved and stuff like that. But yeah,
I mean,
it takes so long with
I
like
mean, yeah. I mean, there's some interesting characters to like, kind of keep you
yeah,
somewhat interested.
because there's two other people in the psychic group. There is there's just like a
Frank
guy,
and
Frank,
Carissa.
and they're kind of like a package deal, all right? Because Carissa can like she can go to any object and since it's past what's happened there. But for whatever reason, it's always a sexual past. Like she's in the elevator and something happened in there. She's in a bed and she's like, "Oh, who
two
does she
movies,
say?"
two movie stars had a wild night in this bed. Clark Gable and Carol Lombard.
Yeah, and she's just like in the bed like writhing. And then like she's in the bathtub and she's like, "Oh, two women stayed in here the whole weekend."
And she's topless too.
Oh, of course. I mean, that just comes with the territory with these movies. Both movies this week. Um, but yeah, so they have a dynamic. They're pretty funny. But the fortune teller is the best part because they're the way it works is they all go to this hotel. Because that is the hotel where the puppets are at. There's one guy who left the psychic group to go to this hotel and search for them. And he has a wife there and he actually dies. He kills himself. And right before he kills himself, I guess he invites everyone to come to the hotel. And so the wife doesn't know what's going on. And all these people are like, okay, we know where the puppets are here. Let's go find them. But everyone has it like a weird thing with his wife, because there's a really great scene with the fortune teller where they're all eating dinner, and then she's just like picking at her the whole time.
Do you ever think your husband married you because of your money?
Yeah, and everyone's just like, oh, she can be catty when she's like this. And she doesn't care. She keeps going. Just
Yeah.
yeah, just being mean. That's one of the better scenes in the movie. But yeah, I mean, like that whole section, them going to the hotel, them meeting up, them hanging out in the hotel, is just such a really long sequence.
Well, I mean, because they do try to show you that there's something going on with the body of, I think it was Neil Gallagher or Gallagher.
Yeah, Neil Gallagher, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
So,
yes, yeah, Neil Gallagher, yeah.
were you gonna say Frank Gallagher?
No, 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 no. I because isn't Neil for a second, isn't that the Oasis dudes?
That's Noel Gallagher.
No, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but no, because they make a big deal to like show like, okay, he's dead, because they even walk over because the
Hmm.
housekeeper like, don't touch the body, like don't,
Hmm.
and then she gets one of them gets like a needle and like jabs into the body. He's like, see, he's dead. And there'll
Hmm.
be like a scene where the body will be like in another room or
Hmm.
whatever, and they're like, oh my god. And
Yeah, yeah, and it'll move around. I think at some point they stop caring though, because the fortune teller just sees the dead body just just
yeah,
sitting
in
there.
her room, she's like, oh, you came to pay me a visit, I see.
Yeah. Oh, and I wrote down a quote that I liked from her after she gets people to leave the dinner. I just have to say it. It says she says, "I'm not a cynic, but I like to think of myself as a nasty bitch," which I thought that was funny. But yeah, so the body starts moving. That's when Pinhead comes out, who's a puppet with a big body and a tiny little head, which I guess the arms were from a stunt double.
Well, you can
Um,
see it because like when it has fingerless gloves on, so there's like scenes where it's like grabbing stuff. You could see it's like
yeah,
fingers move.
and it's stuff like that. I think that's creative. Like it's a creative idea. And then there's Blade, who is kind of like I would say is the main one who does the most. If they ever made a new Puppet Master, but like big budget Puppet Master, you know who I think would make a great Blade?
Wesley
Christoph.
Snipes.
Oh, Wesley Snipes. Yeah, good pick. I was gonna say Christoph Waltz. I think he would make a good Blade. I'm gonna do a fan cast later. Don't worry, guys.
I'd like to see your cast listing later. Maybe we'll do a Patreon episode.
That would be funny, actually. Um, but yeah, so Blade, he just kind of, it's like a dude with like a really white face and blades for hands. There's Tunneler, who's a guy with a giant like drill on his head, who he ends up doing the most damage out of all of them. Leech Woman, who we already talked about, who pukes out leeches. And am I forgetting anybody else? Oh, we talked about Jester already as well.
Yeah, but
Jester,
just
he
Jester
doesn't do
doesn't.
anything.
He doesn't do anything other than his facial expressions change.
But I like it because like he'll get scared all of a sudden. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Ryan just did the face. I wish you could have seen it. But he adds like it's some comedy there that this movie needs a little love. So everybody starts getting killed off. I think one of the best is the one where Frank, is that what you said? That's his name?
Yeah, with the leech woman. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, where he gets tied up. He's part of like a sex thing, and he gets tied up to the bed, and then the girl ends up getting killed, but then he's blindfolded, and the leech woman is just puking leeches on him. And he, of course, at first he's like, "Oh yeah, baby, this is weird," and then it starts to hurt, and he takes it off, and then she's just leeching all over this man, and it's one of the few times where I was like, okay, this is pretty good. This is like a good horror movie.
Oh, it's a good horror movie now.
This one scene was in a good horror movie.
No, that was. I mean, that was like generally like the first time where I was like, oh, like that was a little creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
But then it was just because after that, because Tunneler like drills his girlfriend in the face,
Yes.
and you don't see it, but and then the psychic woman, that's probably like the funniest scene in the movie. Like when Pinhead and like she just like gets into like a fist fight with this puppet.
Yeah, I love that because like she gets in a fist fight with him, and Pinhead gets thrown around a lot in this movie in general. He feels like the weakest.
Well, yeah, because he's supposed to be the strongest one, but they just pick him up because he's a puppet, and then just like throws him. But nobody like ever like the thing that made me so annoyed at this movie was just like nobody ever made like an effort to destroy any of these puppets.
Mm-hmm.
Like each time, like she'll throw Pinhead like down the stairs, and she's like, "Oh, okay," and then goes into like the elevator. Pinhead starts beating her up again, and again she like picks him up, throws him, and he hits the wall, and she's just like, like
Mm-hmm.
it's over. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Destroy the puppet. No, that part was so tedious. The chase scene with her, that one went on for so long. Another scene where it's like shot of her running down the hall, Pinhead catches up, throws him. Shot of her relieved and moving down the hall. It just like repeated itself. I was getting so tired of it.
And then just Blade just pops out of nowhere and slits her throat.
Yes, like, yeah. Oh, easy, right?
Yeah.
Blade,
like, oh, could have just done that in about a couple of minutes instead of just.
But Blade's got to get a kill in here. We got to make this movie feature length. But yeah, so the what happens is the dead guy. Well, he actually is taking on the soul of the old man, I guess, is what it is, or he's basically becoming the Egyptian. Like, I'm going to control these puppets.
Well, that's how like they had found out like the puppet master, the original one, had used the Egyptian like spells to recreate to give life to inanimate objects, and Gallagher had found the spell book and used it on himself. Basically, he's like, but there's like this weird plot line too where he's like, oh, I wasn't the first human experiment. It was your parent. And he points at like his wife.
Yeah.
It just, I was like, well, where are they going with this? Because they don't like, it's not like a big plot point.
No, that totally went over my head.
And yeah, so I mean, it was just like this whole big thing where like, Gallagher was the evil one and that he was the one pulling the strings. during this whole time.
Oh my God. Wow. But now he hates puppets. He's like, oh, these were just a means to the end. Now I want to control people. So you know what that does? That makes the puppets hate him. I love that moment because he says that reveal of like hating puppets, and then Jester turns to the camera and he turns. It's the surprise face.
Hmm. The
Silly.
surprise Pikachu.
Yeah. Well, before then, I'm gonna bring up surprise Jester. And people are going to get it instantly. They're going to be like, "Wow, yeah, I know that where that's from." Um, so yeah, that he reveals that, and you know what happens? All the puppets turn against him, and it's kind of a nightmare. He gets trapped in an elevator, and they just beat up on him.
And that's kind of a long scene too.
That one's way too long because it's almost like they're like torturing him with how slow it goes. Because Tunneler gets him in his like his calf, so he can't stand properly, and he
and that
keeps taking Pinhead and throwing him.
and he tries to climb out of the elevator car,
Hmm.
and Blade like, chops his fingers off so he can't climb, and
Hmm.
then Pinhead's like pulling on his neck really hard, and then Tunneler like drills a hole into his neck.
Yeah, and
But it's he doesn't bleed blood though. He bleeds like this yellow like pus looking thing.
yeah, I don't know what's up with that. But yeah,
Embalming fluid. I don't know.
embalming. Oh, is that what it is?
That's what I thought it
That
was.
makes sense. That's really smart, actually, because he was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But that's about it because he dies. And
Hmm.
is there an epilogue? I'm
Well,
forgetting.
they do a little stinger at the
Hmm.
end because like Megan and Alex are, like doing like they're like, oh, everything's okay now, and then Alex leaves, but
Hmm.
then Megan takes the fortune teller's dead dog that was stuffed and reanimates that, and now the dog's alive, and they're just like, Megan's doing stuff now too.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I remember that. And then Leroy gets to run at the end. I say it was for the good, right?
I, I mean, there's some pets I'd like to do that too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure plenty of people would.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's Puppet Master. That was Puppet Master, people. How was it? It was I didn't really like it personally. I don't think it was horrible. It was definitely, like you said, it was watchable. Just I think the padding is just so rough. If there was just a little more to make it interesting instead of having to feel like they needed to stretch it out to a feature length, I feel like it would have been a little bit better of a horror movie.
I wanted it to be crazier, honestly.
Yeah.
It because I felt like they spent a lot of time like building up these puppets, and it's just we don't really get to see enough of them. Or I it would have been better, I think, if maybe they had like a bigger cast. That way they could have gotten in some more kills.
I agree. Yeah.
But in terms of entertainment value, it's a little too slow. I mean, it
Mhm.
for this type of movie. But
Exactly. For a movie about killer puppets.
so but it's completely watchable. It's not the worst thing in the world by any means. It's
Mhm.
just I wanted something a little zanier, but probably would not give this a recommend. But
I wouldn't either. No.
I know there's a lot of horror fans that do love Puppet Masters. So
Yeah, I mean,
what do I know?
yeah, exactly. I mean, there were four of these movies years back to back, and they took a 4 year break. And I guess the demand for another Puppet Master was so great that they brought it back. Like this movie has like the cult status enough to make it to 15 movies. I have people I follow on Letterboxd who have seen them all, and I swear to God, these people like there's like four people that have seen them all that I follow. All of them hate them, horrible ratings, but they watch them all. I don't know. That means something. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I think that's a double not recommend from us. But Ryan, what are we covering on Thursday?
Well, Nathan, we are going to be covering Shopping Mall, and that is for free on Tubi right now.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to watch that one. And if you want to email us, you can email us at driveanddoubleFeaturePodcast@gmail.com. You can also head on over to X and X at us over at the IDF Pod. And don't forget to check out our Patreon. But until next time.
Until next time.